Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the theme music today because it was a little preview of what is coming in today's meeting. So welcome to the Higher Education Tableau User Group meeting for December 2024. I cannot believe 2024 is almost over. Just blows my mind. We have a super packed agenda today, as Roshni had mentioned in the comments. We've got Meet a Community Member with Chris Ricciardi, and he's from Tufts University. We have an EduVizzers announcement from Dennis Cow. And then we're going to have a very fast Mad Libs Data Plus TV. So we're going to have a Mad Libs tip and trick, followed by a Data Plus TV game quiz and some gift giveaways at the end of that. We're going to have our main presentation by Joe Reynolds, Power to the People, Scaling Tableau Subscriptions, which I'm super interested to see, and followed by our typical wrap up and chat. So you see, we're going to be very busy today. But first, are there any announcements anyone would like to make? Feel free to come off mute, put them in the chat, whatever floats your boat.
So I just want to introduce myself because this is the first user group meeting that I've been to. My name is Rachel Barna. I'm from Cornell University. I attended my first Tableau conference earlier, like in April, May. And I've been using Tableau for about a year, but it wasn't like the main focus of my job. So I still have a lot to learn. So I'm happy to just take it all in, and nice to meet everyone.
Yay, thanks for being brave enough to come off mute at your first meeting. That's awesome.
And if you haven't already joined our Slack, I'm putting some links in the Slack, or sorry, in the Zoom chat. So you can sort of get more into the community.
Definitely. If you haven't already joined the Slack, you should, because it is a huge place where people can come together. They can troubleshoot, they can share information. It's wonderful. Any other announcements? Any job postings? Any events happening? All right. Well, if you think of anything, go ahead and put it in the chat later. And without any more delay, I will introduce our Meet a Community member. Chris Ricciardi is a data analyst. Oh my gosh. For the Career Center at Tufts University. All right, let me just start over again. Chris currently works as a data analyst with the main Career Center at Tufts University in Medford, Massachusetts. He earned his Master's of Public Affairs degree through the University of Missouri in Columbia, and he is also an AmeriCorps Vista alum. So Chris, welcome. Thank you for being our community member this month.
Thanks for having me.
Can you start just by telling us a little bit about yourself and your role and your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I serve as kind of the inaugural data analyst for the Tufts Career Center. So Tufts University is, we have multiple campuses, but we're the main arts and sciences engineering campus. So kind of really helping us look at outcomes data, looking at how our students are doing, really trying to process a lot of that data where previously, as one of the advisors kind of decided, Simon they had, now it's really, we need to get someone dedicated to it. So.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit more about what type of data you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Career Center, kind of big things, outcomes. So really, a lot of interest from both, stakeholders in Tufts and out, kind of, how are students doing after graduation. So I manage our undergraduate first destination survey. So really dive into, where students are going for work, graduate school, really kind of diving into it, do a lot of LinkedIn scraping, a lot of Tableau visualizations to kind of, really highlight kind of the story that our Tufts students are telling with their post-graduation lives. So that's really the big thing, but also do a lot of kind of student engagement stuff. So with how many students are meeting with us for appointments, how many are attending our events, career fairs. So, and also along with that, who's not attending. So really trying to take data and turn it into insights where we can be proactive about reaching out to different student groups and really trying to meet students where they are.
That's wonderful. I, for one, wish that I had taken more advantage of the Career Center when I was an undergrad.
Yep, that's definitely something we tell every student that walks in, take advantage of us, because that's what we're here for.
Right. So how do you use Tableau at work?
Yeah, so it's really become, our main visualization tool. So really, we have Tableau server at Tufts, so it's really helpful for different stakeholders, like I said, from the president's office on down, really showing, their interest in how our students are doing. So we use Tableau a lot to really tell the story, so to speak. So we do a lot of looking at metrics across demographics, a lot of the filtering, be able to slice and dice the data. Tableau makes it much easier than, when I used to use Excel, when I first started Holy Cross, for instance. It's helpful, but, Tableau's made it so much easier to really get data in people's hands and really tell the story. So.
That's wonderful. Do you have a favorite Tableau project that you've worked on?
Yeah, so definitely Tableau's a part of it, but indirectly. So one of the issues we're dealing with in the career center is trying to gauge our advisors' capacities. So saying we try to aim for advisors not to book out beyond 2 weeks. So we don't want a student to log on and say, oh, it's 4 weeks to get an appointment, so I'm just gonna, it's not worth it. So we try and figure out some way to proactively track that. Ironically, Handshake, which is our main kind of career management platform, there's no actual way to track, they don't have that statistic in there, which you would think, but so by using Power Automate, email reports from Handshake, and then Tableau to kind of visualize all of it, we were able to create a live tracking dashboard to show my supervisor and his show them actual track like how much our advisors are booked out. And the nice thing is we've been able to be proactive in the past few years about shifting resources to kind of meet demand when students are really looking for certain appointment types. So that's really been a big one, being able to, meet a business need with Tableau, but also do it in a very indirect way, get around some limitations that we wouldn't be able to overcome otherwise.
So how long have you been using Tableau and how did you learn it?
Yeah, so I've been using Tableau for about 5 or 6 years now. So, like I said, I started, Miracle Vista, and then I went on to the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester. So that was the first time I used Tableau, using it in our experiential learning center. So looking at kind of student internships, what they were doing. So when I first started, we were using Excel dashboards, which, that was a big learning curve, just figuring that out. But and then thankfully someone at Holy Cross mentioned that we had a Tableau license and kind of, that really kind of delved into learning how to use it, made my life a lot easier connecting data sources. So definitely, from going from Excel onward, it was a big step up. So
Oh yeah, definitely. So if you had to pick, what would be your favorite Tableau feature?
I think, I don't know, we don't actually have much interest, but definitely, the geographic tools, so looking at maps, being able to really visualize where our students are going. So one of my favorite parts is kind of looking at our geographic, like, spread of students where they're ending up. So for instance, this year we've seen a much, wider spread of students both in the United States and internationally. And like I said, with Excel, there's really no way to do that, but Tableau makes it so much easier to actually visualize it. And it's easy for our marketing person to be like, oh, here's where students are going, like really visualize it rather than having to guess, like, well, Excel, here's the top state. So it's just really nice being able to just quickly visualize that. And definitely interested in trying the hex maps and stuff like that. I've tried it in the past, but different ways to kind of visualize it. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, the hex maps are great. I agree. Um, what is one thing you'd like to learn more about in Tableau?
Yeah, so definitely. So one thing that we recently acquired at Tusk is the Denodo platform. So a whole different kind of data storage platform. Kind of has a lot of features similar to Tableau Prep, but they also have a connector to Tableau. So really interested in figuring out with Denodo kind of how it can work with Tableau and really taking data to visualize it. Because I know one of the things that we struggle with Tableau at Tufts is just some of the connectors. It could be like trying to figure out, go from Excel spreadsheets to actually connecting the data sources. So now getting Denodo in, I think that's going to make it a lot easier. Connect data sources from different offices and being able to just make, all jobs easier, figure out where data is. So it's not a matter of trying to hunt down where the data is.
Yes, that is the big thing is getting to the data. Right.
Especially a place like Tufts, we're very decentralized, so it definitely makes it a lot easier.
Mhm. If you could go back in time and tell one thing to Tableau newbie you, what would that be?
I think definitely trying to think of Tableau less as kind of just creating graphs, for reports and stuff. Because I know when I first started using it, it's like, oh, make the graph, export it onto Word. That's all there was. But now realizing, really taking advantage of, okay, like the filters, slice and dice it. Also being able to really kind of use it to the advantage, like showing stakeholders what, the data they're really going for. That's been really helpful. Like, so rather than just doing kind of the standalone, just graph maker almost.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever use Tableau outside of work? And if so, how?
It's something I'm trying to do more of. And definitely, with work, I get caught up a lot, that's my main focus. But, I'm from Boston, big sports fan. So looking at kind of some different projects around, like, the Red Sox, Patriots, kind of like some sports things. I see a lot of stuff on Tableau, public, really trying to, highlight some of the features with it. So trying to use some of those sports kind of, topics to really kind of explore some of the different features I normally wouldn't use, in my day-to-day role.
Yeah, but that's so helpful when you can learn new stuff that way and then
Yeah,
make
exactly.
yeah. Do you ever do the Sports Viz Sunday or
No, that's what I'm saying. Something I try to get more into. Definitely haven't really had much of a chance to do it yet, but definitely trying to explore a little bit more of that side.
fantastic? Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go into your dashboard spotlight?
No, I think definitely, if it's been Tableau, it's been a learning curve throughout my career. Definitely, I'm always excited to learn more. So, yeah, definitely great chance to learn different elements and like different features of it that I didn't know existed. So,
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to turn you over to Andrew for your dashboard spotlight.
Thank you very much, Jenny. So this dashboard comes to us from the University of Rochester. Um, and I was curious, Chris, if you could tell us about this dashboard. What do you like about it? Why did you choose this to be the spotlight? What struck you about it, and how has it inspired you?
yeah, definitely. So when I started, at Tufts, like I said, up until then, with Tableau, I was using it more as a, more as kind of just a graph maker, trying just, for reports and stuff. So when I started at Tufts in a career center, trying to figure out, okay, what are some inspirations for how we could take our destination data to the next level? Typically, we have an infographic that we publish, but trying to think like, at least internally, what can we use Tableau to do? Looking through Tableau Public, Rochester's dashboard came up. It really trying to help me get a sense of like, oh, here's what we could do with Tableau with the different filters, really trying to slice and dice kind of what our data look like. So definitely with Rochester kind of, an inspiration. Also helped me wrap my head around First Destination, which is administered by our parent organization, NACE. So we get the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So helpful to think about like the different categories, what they were highlighting. So for instance, like on this, their top level kind of career outcomes help me think about, okay, this is kind of the top level things that we could focus on. And then like, for instance, when you go into like the working information tab, then starting to go more into the details of kind of what fields their students are going into, what their salaries look like, kind of a little more detail to it.
That sounds great. And you alluded to a tiny bit of what you learned from it, but I was wondering, what you think others might find really interesting or informative about this kind of work.
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting kind of, for instance, with Tufts, we typically have published our first session data year to year. So like I said, standalone infographic. But I think, what I really appreciate about Rochester's, which I think is helpful, is kind of how they're creating almost like a database, publicly available. So you can choose, what youth you want to look at. You can choose kind of what focus areas you want to look at. And I think it's just kind of a really good example of kind of like catering to kind of what stakeholder we want to look at. So obviously, as data analyst, I have stuff that I want to look at, but I think they did a really good job about kind of thinking about it from the user standpoint. And that's something that we've tried to do at Tufts also by switching some of our kind of detail outcomes, listings to Tableau versus just standalone PDF. So really trying to think about it from that element, I think it's been really helpful.
That's awesome. Great find on the dashboard. And with that, I will pass on our thanks to Chris for joining us today and sharing some of these career-related analytics. We don't see these every session, so it's really neat to see some of the unique ways that people are using Tableau. So with that, I will say thank you to Chris and pass it on to Roshni, who is going to introduce Dennis.
Speaking of neat ways to use Tableau, if you haven't heard about it, there's this neat challenge called the EduVizzers Challenge, and every month there's a new data set. Almost all of them have been education, some higher ed, some K through 12. I feel like there's maybe is one or two that are sort of on the edges of education, but they are all education related. And so Dennis was kind enough to ask us to help him find a data set for December. And he made it real. He made that data set into this month's EduVizzers challenge. So Dennis, if you want to go ahead and take it away and share the data set, share what EduVizzers is.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Dennis Cow. I'm an associate professor in the School of Social Work at Carleton University, which is based in Ottawa, Ontario. And I'm going to just quickly share my screen, Roshni. Can I just take over? I guess I can.
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay, thank you. All right. So just really quickly, um, I just want to introduce you to EduVizzers. We're just a simple community project. Amy, Maris, and I are kind of the co-leads, and every month we just scramble and find a education related data set to provide. We're not a very popular community project, but if you think of Makeover Monday, Back to Viz Basics, and other projects, we're kind of a project just focused on education data. And so you'll notice that each month we have a particular data set, and hopefully, just the providing a data set and allowing people who have time and the space to kind of want to practice on a data set that's related to education. This is hopefully a good resource. We've been providing data sets since 2022. And so there's just a bunch of data sets that have been compiled by the three of us and the who was previously a co-lead over the course of the last 3 years. And this month, we're fortunate to be partnering with Higher Education Tableau user group, and thank you for your participation and focused on the issue of affirmative action and college diversity. And the data comes from a recent article, an article last month that came out in Inside Higher Education, talking about the potential effects of the recent Supreme Court decision, the U.S. Supreme Court decision on affirmative action, which essentially ended racial preferences in the admissions process. And however you kind of fall in terms of in terms of supporting or opposing uh, any type of affirmative action, I think it's very clear that the removal of such initiatives will alter, I think, the student population in our universities. And so they compiled basically demographic data from 31 universities. I think it's some of the data that you all put out to look at the demographics of your student population, and came up with kind of a series of charts. And the data that I pulled from was from this one, which basically broke the data out by race, ethnicity. So there were 6 charts: white, black, Asian students, Hispanic, Latino, multiracial, and other. Let me increase the size. And you notice if you go to this website, you'll be able to kind of choose, and these are the schools that um, they were able to draw data from. And for example, so the Supreme Court kind of case was involved Harvard. So we can take a look at Harvard really quick and see kind of how the shifts in the various demographic breakdowns, the group breakdowns kind of shifted. So for example, the Black student population, I think, dropped in terms of percentage from 18% to 14%. And these are basically from classes 2027, the class that entered in 2023, and then the class that entered just in 2024, this fall. And so the class of 2027 and the class of 28. And the other school was, I believe, University of North Carolina, and we can kind of take a look at their demographics as well. Okay. And so I basically went through this. So I said I extracted the data, but what I really did was I went through each university and just selected each university and pulled the percentages, plopped them into an Excel sheet, and provide that data through data.world. And so if you go to our website, you can link to this data here and pull it down and kind of take a look at it. And the idea behind it is really to encourage people to kind of practice and work on data visualizations. And we encourage you to share them with us, and hopefully it will just garner some kind of interest around this issue as well. But anyways, that's that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for sharing, Dennis. And to anyone who does participate, whether in this month's EduVizzers challenge or in any future or past months, if you have some tips and tricks that you learned in the process of visiting, come talk to us. We wanna see you share those tips and tricks in one of our HETUG sessions, because the whole point of this community is to learn from each other. And that includes both learning from challenges like what Dennis and Amy and Maris have put together, as well as what we all share with each other. So really excited to see what comes out of this. And yeah, thanks again, Dennis, for coming and sharing and being willing to talk about EduVizzers.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, and with that, Ginny, it's time.
Oh boy. Let me get my screen share up and running.
And just be glad that I didn't actually Mariah that it's time, because everyone's ears would have just hurt so bad.
Oh, well, if you've been around for a while, then you already know that it's my tradition every year in December to publish a new holiday song Mad Libs. And if you know how Mad Libs work, you fill in the blanks and then you follow the instructions and click the snowflake when you're done. So if you would like to start putting some stuff in the chat, I will fill in the blanks. So with whatever I see first for plural noun, cats, and a person. Uh-oh. What did it do? Phyllis Diller.
I'm loving these TV references.
Yes, that is quite fitting. The teeth. I'll skip ahead to noun and put teeth. Outrageous. Thunder snow. You guys are much more creative than me. What have we got next? An ing verb, a plural hens. I'll skip down here. Giving. Nomenclature. Is that an adjective?
I think it's a noun.
I don't think I have any more nouns. Place is a farmhouse, and the North Pole was first, so I'm going to do that one. Flashlight is an object. We need an adjective, two adjectives. Careless. Swampy. All right, so you fill in all the words, you click on the snowflake, and then you can sing along with Mariah with the new tune for All I Want for Christmas Is You. But in this case, it's All I Want for Christmas is a coop. So now you get it. The chicken coop on the front, which was developed using Google's Gemini AI, and then the new lyrics, which were developed by all of us together. So I can export this image and post it on the group for everyone to enjoy the new version of All I Want for Christmas is a Coop. But in the meantime, I did want to give you a little tip and trick that goes along with this dashboard. So you might have noticed this nifty little GIF that I have in here. I never knew how to get an animated image onto a Tableau dashboard before. So I saw another dashboard, which was the Christmas escape room, which I will need to get the link for and share it with you, where they had moving images. And it's not the first time I've seen it in a dashboard, but this one was downloadable. So I downloaded it and looked behind the scenes to figure out how they got these GIFs in their dashboard. And it was let me find it, website. I should have had this one up too. A website called Cloudinary. So if I'm just not very well put together today, am I? Get out of the pool. So Cloudinary. So Cloudinary is a site that has a free version where you can host your images and then get that URL from their page to then plug into your dashboard. And so I downloaded the GIF from Pixabay and uploaded it onto Cloudinary and then was able to host it using or post it on my dashboard using a URL. You just copy and paste. And when you actually publish it, it has a transparent background, which it's supposed to. For whatever reason, on desktop, it does not show that transparent background. So then I used it as a navigation button, and that was my tip or trick. That is how you can get a GIF, animated GIF into your dashboard. All right, so now that we've covered that, we are going to move on to our Data Plus TV quiz. So Roshni, do you have the link ready to go for that?
Go. The link is now in the chat.
So I'm not seeing very many responses coming in. Do we need a replay?
We might. It might also be a Qualtrics delay.
Has anyone successfully been able to get into the quiz? Yes, okay.
So we only have 16 responses right now. 25. Okay, I'm seeing 25. So it must be a magical Qualtrics delay.
Should we play the song one more time to give everybody another minute?
Or while we wait, maybe we talk about other holiday themed fun that is coming up. Andrew, if you want to talk about the next slide.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so if you're among the 16 who are right on the ball for the TV trivia and you want to do more Data Plus TV, or if you're among the rest who need to practice a little bit, top left, there's a QR code to get involved in the Data Plus TV challenges. There's also some upcoming Tableau user groups tomorrow and the next day, and then it starts to quiet down a little bit over the holidays for many of the groups. But the Poland Tableau user group has a TV-themed holiday tip battle, and that runs 12 to 1:30 Eastern tomorrow. And there is a Tableau public Tableau user group focused on holiday visualizations. That is tomorrow as well, 1 to 2:30 Eastern. And Data Plus Women New England Tableau user group is doing a Tableau holiday escape room on December 12th from 11 to noon Eastern. I hope I talked enough, Jenny.
This is collaboration at its best. All right, let's see. It looks like we have about 56 responses, at least on their way.
My screen. Let me look. I'm seeing 59.
Okay.
17 still in progress.
All right, if you're one of those 17 in progress, we're gonna give you maybe the first bit of the song to finish up. And then we're gonna stop and you're not gonna be eligible for prizes. So come on, click those buttons, guys. Click those buttons. All right, that's it, guys. All right, I'm seeing 68 responses and 13 still in progress. So do we want to go ahead and stop it now? And
okay, I think I may be able to download those in progress as well.
Awesome.
I might. All right. So I'm going to steal the screen, share back. And while Roshni puts your names into the wheel of names, I'm going to talk through how to download your data from Qualtrics. So I don't know how many of you use Qualtrics, but if you do, you'll probably recognize this handy little export. So I'm going to export some Excel data using the export labels instead of the coded values for the quiz. We're going to download this. You can see I already downloaded some test data that we're going to overwrite to use to build out a dashboard and see the results of our quiz. So here I have a very simple Tableau prep flow where I have a code book for the survey with just the question number, the question answer code, the answer and whether or not it's correct, which you already saw your results if you completed the quiz. And that's what the code book looks like. And then we have our quiz results, which I'm going to change out with the ones I just downloaded. So we're going to go click on our connection and go to edit. And then we're going to select today's output. Open that. And when we click on this, yes, we'll see that we have quite a few responses. Before there were only 2 test responses. So we're going to aggregate all of our answers, as we see here. And then we're going to pivot those questions and answers and join them with the code book, matching question to question and the answer to the selected answer. And the reason I'm using a code book is in case there was an answer that nobody selected, we'll still be able to see all the answer choices. And now we have our clean data, and I'm going to run this output. And I'm going to replace the existing hyperfile. Doesn't take but a second. And then we're going to open up our Tableau dashboard and refresh our data extract. I don't even have to refresh it. It's probably because it's a live connection. And then we're going to see our results. So the first question, in the TV show A Different World, which college do the characters attend? The correct answer is Hillman College, which 35 of you got correct. Number 2, in the TV show Community, which community college do the characters attend? And that was Greendale Community College, which 30 of you got correct. Number 3, in the TV show Saved by the Bell, the college years, which college do the characters attend? California University is the correct answer, and 21 of you got it, but that was not the most, the answer that most people chose. 22 people selected University of California, San Diego. Number 4, in the TV show The OC, which college does Summer attend? The correct answer is Brown University, but most people selected University of California, Berkeley, and that's understandable because most of the characters did attend UC Berkeley. Number 5, in the TV show Gilmore Girls, which college does Lorelai attend? And that was the tricky one because it wasn't asking about Rory. Hartford Community College is the correct answer. Most people answered Yale. Number 6, in the TV show Dawson's Creek, which colleges do the main characters attend? All of them. University of Southern California, Boston Bay College, Worthington, and the correct answer was all of the above. One character attends University of Southern California. I think 2 went to Boston Bay and 1 went to Worthington. Question number 7, in the TV show How to Get Away with Murder, which college do the characters attend? Middleton University is the correct answer. Not the most popular answer, though, which was Middlebury. I could see why you get the 2 confused. They're very similar. And then finally, number 8, in the TV show Felicity, which college do the characters attend? University of New York is the correct answer, but New York University is the one most people chose. And honestly, it's probably the one I would have chosen too. All right, so now we see how everyone did.
So congrats to everyone for participating. We hope you liked our Data Plus TV trivia game. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic back over to Andrew.
Okay, thanks very much, and congrats to our winners. So it is my pleasure to introduce Joe Reynolds, who's a senior data analyst at Northeastern University with the presentation Power to the People using MS Power Automate to personalize and scale Tableau subscriptions. Coming from a background of 10 years of media product development and sales, Joe switched careers mid-pandemic and went back to school for analytics. He then hooked on with Northeastern in a professional capacity where he's a senior data analyst at one of its largest colleges. Serving a diverse faculty and student population, he works on projects spanning the gamut from ops to finance, marketing, and student success. Joe, it's great to meet you. Thanks for presenting today. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And really good to be here. I owe this group quite a bit. Rachel, you've landed in a good place if this is your first meeting, and I'll shout out the Slack group, which has helped me figure out some things in the past, and Yeah, it never fails to put me in a good mood, this meeting. So we'll hope to keep that rolling here. Um, and thanks for the warm intro. I'm gonna share my screen. So I just want to preface this by saying that Tableau does do subscriptions, right? And I'm going to talk about that and my Power Automate workaround. And I just want to say that for most people, I think that the Tableau subscriptions will probably do the job for you. Not to negate the importance of my presentation, but we're going to talk about both and sort of I'm going to highlight what each use case does well. So without further ado, gonna kind of dive right in. I appreciate the intro to my background because I being a product developer, I'm obsessed with how people use things, right? Um, Maybe to my own detriment sometimes, but adoption is the key, right? Like we can make dashboards all day long, but unless people are seeing them, interacting with them, using them to get like together as a unified front, their impact diminishes. And I don't like it when my work impact diminishes. So I'm always interested in how people are using things, and a lot of that has to do with process, right? Um, so I'm going to give you the takeaways first, and then we'll revisit these at the end. But you got to start by doing discovery. Put your consultant hat on. I'm sure that many of you do this, but in my first year, I think I did probably 50 interviews across the organization to kind of figure out where the gaps are in terms of what's the state of the state with our data culture. And then we're going to talk about the myth of self-serve analytics, or at least what I found and to be. I had this idea that if you build it, they will come, and I think I was maybe let down by that a little bit, and so have gone back to the drawing board to be more. The second approach was much more successful. Got a lot more. Uh, we like this. We'd like more of this sort of feedback. And that was in being more prescriptive and a bit more assertive, I guess is the word I want. One of my colleagues said, doesn't this have the potential to be annoying? And I would agree that, yeah, it does. But the key is to deliver value. And if you deliver value, you won't be considered annoying. So we'll talk a little bit about the value zone and how to get there. And finally, building better data habits and data hygiene and how automation can help there. And I think, again, thinking about throughput across a workforce. So I'm going to buzz past this slide because I think it's already been covered, but I live in Maine now. Greetings from snowy Portland, Maine. There's a Northeastern campus here where I got my degree, which like many people, went back to school during the COVID shutdown and got hooked on with Northeastern from there. My background was in media, so media is very data heavy, right? And so I'd been moving this direction for a number of years, but when the time was right, kind of dove in and a quick look at the college that I work for. CPS is, you're going to hear me say CPS, and that's the College of Professional Studies. We're one of the larger colleges at Northeastern. Are sort of, well, we have degrees at every level, right? So we're kind of like a university within the university in a way. And we have, as you can see, an army of part-time faculty that help us deliver our mission. So our differentiator is that we have folks out of the workforce teaching classes. If you come to school at CPS, you'll have smaller class sizes and you'll have working professionals teaching you. I found that to be a tremendously important part of my learning. And we have about 8,000 students in a given year and teach roughly 3,600 class sections. That fluctuates a little bit year to year, but we do have a global network, so we're in campuses all over the world, and it's a challenge, right? Like a lot of moving parts to our college, and we'll confer about 3,000 degrees this year. Okay, So this might be everybody on this call. I gave this presentation once before in a bit of a different format. So I'm going to rip right through this slide, but responsibilities roll up the chain, right? Everybody up the chain is responsible for the next tier down in addition to their own responsibilities. And these are the folks that I was really conferring with to sort of figure out new methods that could help us reach our goals. And that's what I mean by getting buy-in, right? What I heard was, uh, reporting is in different places, right? We have to go to one central office to get one report and to another central office to get another report. And the reports that we're making internally may not match. So then there's data. There are challenges that arise from people getting together not centered on the same thing, right? Kind of like people are building the bridge from opposite sides of the river, and are we meeting in the middle? Maybe. Um, so you get this wonderful functional dashboard, but now you have to get it in front of people, and so this is going to bleed into the sort of myth of self-serve analytics, but I spent my first year creating a delivery layer, or part of my first year in response to those concerns, right? Um, Stakeholders having to go to different sites and they still had questions, and it's kind of table stakes in 2024 that you have a place that everyone can go to get what they need in a self-serve way. I'm not saying that you don't need that. You do need that. Because the situation is going to arise where somebody needs something when they need it. Um, I would give myself like an A for effort here. I would give us an A for effort, but probably like a D for adoption, right? Um, and D's don't get degrees, right? So I think that we use the SharePoint site. You can kind of put anything in a SharePoint from a link to like a supporting video, or there's lots of flexibility there and people are used to it as a delivery mechanism. We still have this. We've grown this. We are going to continue to grow this. But in addition to that, the myth of self-serve analytics, right? I think that I'm borrowing this term. This is not something I invented. There's a whole dialogue about the if you build it, they will come philosophy, maybe letting you down. So I am aiming for the value zone. And this is sort of the myth of self-serve analytics continued, the second idea. But here's the hint. Email is the value zone. I believe this firmly is the hill I will die on. In the attention economy, the value zone is really like where people are, where their attention is. And I don't care how busy people get, they're going to check their email 20 times a day. So that's where I want to be. That's where I want to deliver to. And Tableau will help you do that. So this is kind of how Tableau handles subscriptions in any visualization. When you go to the top bar and click on the watch button, a drop down will come down. If you click subscriptions, it will bring up this dialog box, and you can do a number of things here. You can subscribe a user, you can subscribe a group. We're going to revisit groups. Groups are something I think Tableau does particularly well, actually. You will have an option to choose the view of the workbook, then an image or a PDF. That, by the way, is a forced choice. You must choose something. You can also customize your subject line and the message that folks will see, and the frequency on which they'll receive it. And finally, there is a link to a subscription manager, but I have found this to be less than what is really useful for me. So that was another sort of motivator for me to try to find another way, because it's all about scale, right? I got 60 different programs, different program managers, program leads. People are rotating in and out of those roles oftentimes every year or two. And again, we're trying to like get throughput across this. Just that would be enough, but then we have like a legion of part-time people who we also want to communicate with effectively. So, I have relationships with many of them. but maintaining close personal relationships with all of them is difficult. It's sort of part of the difficulty of the role is making sure that everybody knows my face and the organizational priorities, right? And we've all established trust with one another. So I guess looking at some of the things where Tableau is not as effective as I wanted it to be. One is in the subscription management arena, and you can see who's subscribed to a particular dashboard or workbook. But you can see it at the workbook level and at the person level. Like if I went to Chloe's user profile on the server, I could drill in and find out what subscription she's got going or what dashboards she's subscribed to. But it's pretty chunky and clunky. And the way that you got to wait in between Tableau for the server to load, and it just wasn't as clean and quick as I wanted it to be. This is a place where I felt like Tableau could have done better in helping me manage the scaling of all of this work. And then the actual email that people receive is a situation where messaging takes a backseat to the image. Now, this might be like not a problem for you. You may have a workforce who's all very clearly centered on dashboards that are that have been socialized around your college or university, and people are all in agreement and kind of know what they're looking at. I've got faculty who are teaching analytics and informatics, right? Hungry for more. And then I've got folks that are fighting with one hand tied behind their back. They've been teaching, applied nutrition, right? And data is just not their realm. So this is a new part of their role. And we're trying to move everybody together, right? So that in that way, messaging really matters, I think. Again, adoption and how people are using things. The image or the PDF will trump the message in the Tableau delivery. And in addition to that, it's going to come from a no reply at Tableau. Now, this is different. This is a very different feel from if it arrives from me, a person with a picture and a name that they know, they are much more likely to open it. And I don't put it past anybody to be like me. I have subscribed to many Tableau dashboards within my organization that get annoying and I don't use. And I have a folder that there's a rule in my Outlook that sends these things to this folder, and I'll go look if I need to. But I don't want that to happen as I'm trying to scale our work across our college. So coming from me makes it much more personalized. In addition to that, we can personalize using Power Automate, and I'm going to show you how. All right. So what is Power Automate? If anybody doesn't know what Power Automate is, it's the cloud-based SaaS tool from Microsoft that's like a Zapier or a Make.com. It allows you to, or even Smartsheet. There's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat. But Power Automate is particularly useful for getting this work done because we are a Microsoft shop at Northeastern. And so, apologies, I have a fire truck going by. But because of that, we have an Azure environment, and this will allow us to hook into that Azure environment using our Microsoft credentials. So it takes care of some of the issues that you'd run into trying to make like a HTTP server or something like that. That wouldn't work. So Power Automate serves a couple of the credentialing piece is sort of automatically taken care of, which is really nice. And here are the main things that it helps us do. Again, personalize, can customize. Similarly, you can customize with Tableau. Got to give it to Tableau there. They've come a long way. But really the speed to value is with Power Automate for me is its ability to help me scale and get the right things to the right people. So I'm gonna show you how this flow works, and then I'm just gonna dive right into this. This is gonna move quickly, and if you're not familiar with the Power Automate environment, just Don't be too hard on yourself. It takes some getting used to. It can be clunky in its own right. So this is a piece of the flow. So there's a lot of, and you can't see this, we're going to zoom in, but this is there's a lot of if-then checks. That's what I just wanted to showcase. There's like if-then, true, false, true, lots of Booleans all the way down the line. And then eventually you're going to end up in an Excel sheet, right? And then you're going to end up in an Outlook node, right? So what's going to happen is first, we are going to initialize a date variable. It's going to be set to a recurring cadence, right? It's then going to check to see if we're in fall in that date or whether we're in winter, spring, summer, right? Right on down the line. And with that true false, it's going to take us into an Excel sheet where I have lots of different views saved from as custom views from Tableau. And we've got a string match happening, right? So the fall admissions for the graduate leadership portfolio or the graduate school of education portfolio or a bachelor portfolio, right? These are all sort of cross-checked, and then what's going to happen is it's going to crawl that Excel sheet, find out if there's a string match, and deliver that dashboard link to that recipient. Right? Everybody follow that? That was a lot, and it's quick. We're moving quick. But basically, this Power Automate flow crawls an Excel sheet, picks up the dashboard link, and sends it to the person based on this string and doing a string match. This allows me to sort of load up at the beginning of the year all of the different custom views that I've got going on for a particular dashboard and sort of set it and forget it, right? I can pretty easily scale this Excel sheet and do this across multiple reports. Sometimes faster than I can. It's ended up being faster than trying to do this in the Tableau environment and check to make sure everybody I need is assigned a subscription to a particular dashboard. And here's the actual end of the line in Power Automate where you will actually create the content, and you'll see that this allows me to customize the recipient. So it's going to Joe, right? Look at this, to Joe from Joe. Hi, Joe. So there's a personalization element that's not possible in Tableau, and I do think that matters. I've heard from people that it does. So I'm going to stick with that. And it also is allowing me to, again, deliver the custom content to the right person at the right time. And similarly, Tableau will help you customize and deliver messaging, but I can lead with the lead, right? I don't bury the lead underneath an image. I can lead with the things that we want people to keep in mind, and the reminders come up front. So this is really about throughput across the workforce, is getting everybody thinking the same way about what they're about to look at, because they might not be used to it. So as we scale across groups of 50 or 75 people, this has proved to be an effective tool, and something that upon seeing it the first time, the leadership team was like, yes, we want more of this. This is great. Can I send this to my program leads, which is exactly what I want to hear. All right. So that's, I think, maybe all three of the themes are tied together, and I should have had one mega theme, which is that automation will help you build trust and help you scale if you do it right, and also get you to the value zone. But I just wanted to wrap up here by revisiting how, in fact, I'm back checking my scale, or maybe my own sort of my own cross check on habits, and just making sure everybody is accounted for. I built a little widget in the Excel sheet that allows me to, you'll see here, actually, I didn't do a good job highlighting this, but I have all the reports that are going out in different sheets, right? So what I can do is search by last name. That's my boss, so she's got all the same reports that I do, more or less. But I can sort of just really quickly at a glance see who's receiving what, and for which terms, and just make sure that all of my people are getting what they need in a much faster, tighter feedback loop than I'm able to do in Tableau. So this is my own sort of internal cross-check. What I will say is that in regard to groups, I do think that Tableau has this method beat. Because groups can be a really great way to scale. And if you're doing group subscriptions, the issue that I face there is that, again, we have, 50, 60 programs and people are usually leads for a year or two. And, just the maintenance and upkeep. I'm sure everybody has bushwhacked their way through a server at some point to make sure everything is like up to date. But that's, what I have found is that in conjunction with my widget and the speed in which I can add to the Excel sheet and grab the existing link and not have to go into the server and, find the person and then find the report and make sure all the right people are, I can just grab the link and create a new row, right? It's like, it's a little bit of extra work up front, but when someone says, hey, can I send this to these other 3 people, it makes my life a lot easier. Although I will say that groups are something I'm thinking about in a V2 and thinking about how to scale to groups as we get more role clarity around what we want people looking at on what cadence. Do I have anything else? Oh yeah, revisiting our takeaways. So yeah, start at the beginning by asking lots of questions, right? Trying to do a gap analysis and figure out what people are missing in terms of their habits, right? And where automations can maybe help there. And then don't count on the fact that if you build it, they're going to just automatically change, right? Like we have to influence change. I think being a little more prescriptive and being assertive is helpful with that. Because asking people to do something new requires a constant reminder. You have to do, in order to change a habit, you got to do something else differently, and automation can really help with that. So I would advocate for everybody to check out Tableau subscriptions if you haven't already, and if you have any questions about developing a Power Automate workaround for any of the scaling issues that you run into, please get in touch. That's it.
So Joe, we've got questions.
All right, let's field them.
So from Jake Tolbert, I want to say at Berkeley, but I'm probably completely wrong about that. So Jake, correct me. Are you able to get data from the dashboard into the body of the email? And I feel like you may have gotten this question when you did this at the Northern New England Tug. Another shameless plug for another tug. And I feel like someone had asked about like putting images in. I know you can do a little bit of that with the REST API. There's also a new VizQL data services API that lets you pull your data out of Tableau. So have you played with any of that? Have you thought about that? Have you had a request around that?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but again, I think right now, the stage we're in, we're really trying to lead with the messaging and get people primed with the questions that we want them to be thinking about before they actually see the charting. I like again the way hopefully when I let off, right? Like I think for a lot of people, the subscription function in Tableau the way it is and leading with a chart is like preferable, right? And if you've got people who are familiar with what you're showing them, then I would just say go with the Tableau functionality that they built. But for our purposes and really getting people thinking together in a different way, leading with the messaging was more important. I have not started messing around with the REST API to try to pull that into Power Automate yet. But I think there's probably a V2 coming with this, right? Where that might be a possibility and thinking more about groups. I also might abandon it completely once we have people really primed and ready to go. But we have a lot more reports that we're trying to move through the workforce and scale in the coming year. So I think, at least for now, committed to this for probably a little while until we get people used to new habits.
That makes sense. For the groups, have you considered using like Active Directory groups or Azure? Or I don't remember what it's called. Azure also has like an AD in tune. I'm probably making things up here, but have you encountered those as potential options for replacing the
Yeah,
group?
so it's funny you ask that. There's a couple of different group types. Microsoft loves a group, my God.
And loves to call it many, many different things
Oh,
and
there's
all of its different
MS360.
identity.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to overtalk you there,
No,
but
no,
there's a lot of like different group types and they all do different. There's MS365 groups, there's security groups, there's like it's a lot. And it's funny that you mention it because we have been hung up trying to, so our HR department calls the Active Directory doesn't clearly give people's titles, right? Like, and some people have multiple titles. And so, um, our HR team goes through every Friday and we hire about 3 people a day during our busy season, right? We have a lot of adjunct faculty. So our HR team gets together and weekly sort of cleans an Excel sheet that has our landscape of employees. And we are trying to create a method through Power Automate to um, take that to automate sort of the last part of this, which is have role-based MS security groups. And if anybody knows how to get a workflow going that would dynamically update Tableau user groups based on those
REST
uh,
API.
mi- Microsoft groups, I am very interested in trying to sort of connect those dots because yeah, bushwhacking through a server to make sure that everybody's part of the right group is no fun. So anybody who has figured that out, please put your information in the chat and I will get at you.
Awesome. Yeah, we have used for a different application, not at Microsoft. We have used just sort of an export from that application, similarly to how you could export people from a security group to build out a Tableau group, using the REST API. I think the tab command module from way back when also does some of that. So there's definitely stuff out there. We had one other question, or at least one more question about pausing subscriptions. So have you had a use case where you've had to pause subscriptions to say because you knew the data was bad, or we knew we didn't want to push this out before census date because numbers are still changing, or there's a holiday, we don't want someone to come back after a week off and have 7 different useless subscriptions in their inbox that they are then ignoring. So have you had that use case?
Yeah, I mean, I think the risk to this method is that um, Microsoft is not going to pause for you, right? Like this automation is going to run. So you got to be somewhat careful about what you're putting into it because it is going to run. But it's very easy to like remove somebody's record, right? Like if like I've definitely had people come and go, and it's much easier to bounce into an Excel sheet and do it than wait for the server to load and chase down the right subscription for the person, which is, I think, my argument on scaling. It's not that I can just do a lookup based on someone's last name. I know the 3 reports they're getting, and it's just zip, zam, zoom on deleting them. So
That's awesome.
yes,
Yeah.
sort of. Yes, sort of. I've had that use case, but do if you're gonna pursue this, you do need to be careful about what you put in the machine because the machine's gonna run without your ability to hit the pause button.
Makes sense. Yeah, we definitely have hit some issues with subscriptions on the Tableau side where people who set up the subscriptions were unlicensed for whatever reason. That killed a bunch of subscriptions. So like I really like that idea of just these are all the ones that are official. We're putting them all in an Excel file. We can track it to the day. We can even log when did they start getting the subscription and that sort of thing. I love that idea. Are we going to implement it? Probably not, but I love the idea knowing that someone has implemented it so we can come bug you with questions if we get there, a year or two down the line. So awesome. Thank you so much, Joe, for showing us what subscriptions default out of the box can do, and then how you can scale them in Tableau. This was really cool. I hope folks learned a lot, enjoyed what they saw, and start thinking about both using subscriptions and other ways to automate with Tableau. So thanks again. And with that, we are going to wrap up for the day. So as always, where we ask that question, tell us, what did you think of today's meeting? Did you like the content? Were the speakers amazing? Uh, what else do you want to learn about in future HETUG meetings? I've put the link in the chat. We also have the first few 2025 meetings scheduled. Our next one is on January 10th, and you'll notice that's a month out. And you'll notice that January 10th is the same day. It's the 10th, and that's weird in a month like this. Actually, that's probably the wrong day. Is that the right day? Sorry. Of course, I'm like, um, oh wow, yeah, no, totally wrong. It's January 22nd. Um,
A little early.
yeah, I was like, wait a second. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna fix it and put the slide back on there. So it's January 22nd. And that is a Wednesday. It is not a Tuesday. We've been doing AT Tugs on Tuesdays for a while, but we're gonna moving to a new schedule. I don't know if it's because of their ratings. The Nielsen ratings may have come in and forced that. I don't know. But we've got a really great lineup. Luca Perkovic, who leads the Memphis Educators Tableau user group, is going to be our Meta community member. Brandon Cornell, who's a consultant, built out this really great diversity dashboard for a Chart Champ challenge last year, and it was one of the finalists in Chart Champ, and he's going to share some tips and tricks from that dashboard. And then Lacey Ulrich from Augusta is going to talk about setting up a data identity. So kind of like a style guide type thing for your Tableau dashboards. This was a reschedule from what is it, post Helene, I want to say. And we're gonna have some really cool something, we don't know what yet, around Data Plus TV. So and as you can tell, we love TV here. So that is going to be part of our January AT Tug. And if you want to present, or if you want to nominate someone else to present because you know that they've done something really cool, please share that through the present at AT Tug form, and we'll reach out and try to find those speakers. We also have a handful of resources. We normally would share all of the all of the tugs that are coming up. But this time we wanted to share a few other types of content on this wrap-up slide. One of them is about Tableau academic programs. We've had some messages in the Tableau AG Tug Slack around teaching Tableau. And so there's a whole series of resources around teaching Tableau at the higher ed and K through 12 levels, as well as for kids, for younger kids. There's a whole Data Plus Kids initiative. So go check out tableau.com/community/academic to learn more about those programs. They also have slide decks, or like curriculum modules for Canvas that you can import into your own site and tweak as needed, and a bunch of other resources. If you have ever missed an AG Tug meeting or any other tug and it was recorded, you can find those recordings or links to those recordings on the YouTube Team DataFam channel. There's a whole bunch of recordings out there on all sorts of topics, so go check that out. And then finally, IronViz qualifiers IronViz submissions were due at the end of October. They are, as we speak, being judged. I say that as a judge who still has a couple more left. And about a month from now, the qualifier results, the top 10, are going to be announced. And the top 3 will go on to participate in IronViz at Tableau Conference in mid-April. So the link to sign up for the qualifier webinar is in the chat as well. And with that, we want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to Chris and Joe and Dennis for presenting and talking about their work and work of others, and for all of you for attending and playing along with our Data Plus TV trivia. And go listen to that, or go play with that Mad Lib, because A, it's fun, and B, Mariah needs a little more change in her pocket. So
Carry
that,
results if you do. I'd love to use this.
Yep, and I think we did share our collective results in the Higher Ed Tug Slack channel.